Steve Evans, 1 week on from the Port Vale game, you said it wasn't the best performance you could have produced. What have you learnt in the week so far?
Well, we've certainly learnt, Neil, that when you don't mentally prepare for a game, your performance is most times not going to be right for long periods in the game, and it's very, very difficult for those same players to suddenly come from I want to say a negative mindset, but not fully prepared and charged and ready to be a good Port Vale side. It took the changes in personnel and the change in the system to completely put that in our favour. And of course, we should still win the game. You know, we scored a really good goal, good pass by Harvey, brilliant finish for Reedy, and then we have a penalty given against us that's laughable. We have the apology from the PGL, MOL. They are very simple. It's a good challenge. It's not a questionable challenge. I think there was a real criticism of the referee involved from their point of view, but that's their business now, so that's gone. And even as far back as a week on Tuesday when we played Peterborough, there is no doubt the second goal is offside. We're thinking it at the time, but we're not in line, so we can't make nothing of it. But when we come in and we see the evidence on the video, it's very, very clear that we've been on the wrong end of two really bad decisions. Again, the EFL quickly to email us and say, yes, offside for the Peterborough goal and no penalty for Port Vale. So, but we have to take that. We've been here many weeks of the season with a small club. We are that little small pellet that no one wants to see in that top group. So we'll have to try and overcome that as best we can. Not question the integrity whatsoever of referees, but probably saying that an assistant referee let us down against Peterborough. That's not the referee, it's an assistant referee. And the referee clearly let us down with poor performance all round, I thought, against Port Vale.
And I guess the best way of actually sort of rising above any little things that could go against you is by getting a full performance out of your squad.
Yeah, listen, as much as I say to you, we can blame officials, and we've probably got more cause than anyone in League One to be shaking our head at what we've had to endure this season. But forgetting that, if your players do enough, we win football matches. And if the staff do enough, and we don't lose the staff and win as players, or win as staff and lose as players, it doesn't work like that here. We're a collective. And so it's our job to make sure that in every game that we face, we make sure that we're picking a team, a squad, 11 and 18, that is mentally ready for the challenge that lies before us. And arguably, we've got two really tough challenges in 4 or 5 days. In fact, 3 and 7 days between obviously going up to Port Vale, going up to Burton, Port Vale, and then a tough extra here. So it's but it's a great exciting time, isn't it? The lead up to Christmas. Everywhere I go, there's Christmas music playing, there's kids running about with Santa hats. I think it's a great time of the year. Football-wise, it's only a great time if you're managing to accrue some points.
So I guess, this week on the training ground, it was a case of sort of mixing what you want to put right from the Port Vale game with focusing on what you need to do against Burton.
Yeah, very much so. I think they separate each other. Obviously, they separate each other ideally in terms of competitions. The bread and butter we know is EFL League One. We still have a points target as a minimum that we need to get to. We're nowhere near it yet. There's a lot more wins and points and draws that we have to get to be there. And I never fail to say it. I see that. Congratulations to Neil Harris getting at Cambridge, of course, and commiserations to the manager that's lost his job. But what I do think about that is that Cambridge United were in a similar position to us last season and fought like mad to stay up on the last day. They had a heroic run at the end under Neil Guffer. Really tremendous. So from that point of view, we need to be focused on one game at a time. Ours is Burton. We know the quality of player they've been able to assemble. You don't go and sign the boy like Stockton. We all know what he was commanding or what that was rumoured to be. And other good players, that we tried to have a chat with in the summer, we just couldn't match them. So it's not saying they're outrageously, they're like us, they're one of the more confined clubs in terms of spend, but what my point is, they've got really good players. And when you've got really good players, it makes them dangerous opponents.
Well, I guess Stevenage fans will look to the fixture and go, oh, well, it's Dino Mamrie, or an ex-player, ex-manager. Yeah, what's your focus? What do you see in Burton?
I didn't know he was an ex-player, to be fair. I know Dino was a manager. I can't remember him as a player ever. So I can't say I did, but I remember obviously Dino is a manager. Would he? I know it'll be tough. I know it'll be competitive. I know the team will be really organised. I watched a full rerun of their game against Wrexham on Tuesday, so I've already put that in the bank. I'll watch another one of their home league games that's happened recently. So, and as we all see, they're capable of beating anyone on the day, as they proved up at Wrexham, because that was a fantastic result. And not enough credit gets given because it's a competition that's not the EFL League One. If it had been a league game, everyone would have been sent as the result of the week. So we just need to go there. We need to work as hard as we can, play as well as we have played away from home in recent times. We've been very good, and we'll need to produce a very good performance to add 1 or 3 to a points tally on Saturday. But it's a massive incentive. We're 4th in the league. In terms of league action, we have 3 of the next 4 league games then at home. Massive. We go away on Saturday, and it makes the balance of away games higher than home games. We're really looking forward to Saturday and building on what the boys have done so far.
How has training been this week? It must be close to a full squad.
Yeah, it's full squad. You know, we've had Sweeney and Anderson. I keep wondering whether it's Johnny or Harry Anderson that's walking in the building. And I know we got Dan Sweeney in the building, but Big Ryan's playing at Burton on Saturday. So it's no, I think we'd a full game here on Tuesday amongst the whole squad. We spoke about preparation. We spoke about competition for places. And there were some performances there that stood out and said, like, I want to be playing Saturday. But you have to break that down versus we're on a 10-match unbeaten run, which is so hard to achieve when you're in League One, and then the cup competitions around it. But adding to that, we will sit down as a staff after training tomorrow. We'll have an 18 in mind for Saturday, but we'll pick down and we'll fine-tune the 11. And we just want that 11 to give us everything they've got, because we ask no more of our group. We're not a manager who gets a video up on a Monday and a management team and smashes people. That's the 1990s. You know, it doesn't exist these days, but to some it does. That's not us. We arrive together, we'll leave together, but let's hope we've had a positive performance for our supporters who'll travel there, because we understand how hard it is for them to get the money these days, especially with Christmas coming. And especially they'll want to buy home tickets, won't they? Yeah. Northampton and Cambridge at home at Christmas time. They'll all want to be there. But we need to make sure that we're prepared for Saturday. That's the first and only challenge we have.
So in that case, when it comes to sort of selection, do you not think, well, there's Tuesday, if I don't play him on Saturday, he could get a start or I'll be on the bench on Tuesday?
I think there'll be an element of that come Saturday evening. I think our first and foremost task is to try and deal with Burton Albion, and if we thought any other way, we would be disrespectful to, I think, who's a really good club, run meticulously by a brilliant chairman who I've known for donkey's years, Ben Robinson, and his family. They run it meticulously, and it's a tough place to go. So we can only focus on Burton. But when we leave Burton, of course, we'll consider what type of game individuals have had in terms of how well they've played, in terms of how hard they've run, how quick they've run, all the dynamics that come into it. And then separate that to, obviously, we know a lot about Port Vale now. We've played them twice recently. They know a lot about us. So maybe to get that balance back in our favour to winning it rather than drawing it, we need to tweak something different against them.
Just moving away from sort of the football side of it, I just want to touch on the transfer window, which is now suddenly, you talk about Christmas, but the transfer window is looming. You said a couple of weeks ago you would go into the market if there was players that would strengthen the squad. Have you identified any that you think maybe?
Yeah, look, we're not talking lots of players here. You know, we're not talking lots of players, because the first thing you have to say is, how do we improve our squad within the restraints, and that's a bad word, restraints, but within the financials that we work to, myself and Leon. That's the first thing. And then when you do find players like that, do they want to come and play at Stevenage? Do they want to come and play at that small club in League One that's outperforming? Do they fancy that, or do they want to go and sit on the bench, or just be part of a 25-man squad at a big fashionable club in League One? That depends what's inside them. You know, I just think you have to. I was very successful even as far back as my Rotherham days, when I had Emi Martinez come and sign and James Taverner come and sign. World-class players. I'm not saying we're going to get that quality, but in retrospect, when you look back, Rotherham's a much smaller club compared to Emi coming out of Arsenal, and of course James had come out of Middlesbrough at the time, who were not long out of the Premier League. So we have identified some players. Myself and Leon are already working on that. We're already speaking to agents and clubs, and ideally, in an ideal world, there'll be 2 or 3 people coming in the building, and it'll be 2 or 3 fairly quickly in the January window.
And I guess as well, there's also the flip side of that. You've done so well this season. There's going to be clubs going, we could fancy a couple of their players.
Yeah, I think you are going to get that. That never ever sits with me. That sits with the chairman and the board as to whether valuations can get met. I've worked with there's more directors, but I've worked principally with the chairman and with Stuart, and they're often asking me about values and what my thoughts are, etc. And they're wonderfully supportive. And what you know is if you're Phil Wallace, and this has cost you probably the best part of 30-40 million pounds over the last, in his tenure, if you like. I don't suppose if we're in that top group, he'd be too keen to be selling an asset. I think he'd be more keen to say, if we sell this asset, number one, Steve, who do we replace him with? What would that cost? And there's a whole calculations that run behind that. But I'd be disappointed if we were giving away our assets. But at the end of the day, I don't have to pay the bills at the end of the month. That lies with the board.